talking. We might be over modulating. It looked to me like maybe we were. And you're going to have to move. I'll move this and see if we can get you. How's that? I can come. Yeah, I can go a little more. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hope you can hear us. If we can get some feedback on the sound. I don't usually do, oh, you're right in the, you're not going to be seen because you're going to be in the thing that goes up. I didn't think about that.
I'm not going to be seen by us. They can see me.
Oh, right, because on theirs it's on the side. Right, okay. Yeah. I think you're in pretty good.
Yeah. Hi, can everybody see both of us? We're trying to social distance.
As best we can here. We're just on the phone. And how about the sound? This is the first time I think I've done two of us on, no, I've done it before. But we're using our lav mics because there's a bit of a breeze. How's the sound? And I'm sorry, the phone's so far away to get to it and I can't see any of it. Hi, everyone. Glad you're here. We are having, as you can see, we have a guest today, Carolyn from Carolyn's RV Life. And we are going to have the knockdown, drag out fight of the century. Put them up.
Put them up.
All right. Oh, now the KC, let's do that again. She'll do a thumbnail out of that. doesn't KC make amazing thumbnails? I hired her to do a million things and then she taught herself how to make thumbnails.
And they are amazing.
They are amazing.
We have a lot of fun with this. The trolls could have a lot of fun with this.
How do we sound, Sue-Ann?
You sound good.
Okay. Good. So today we're going to discuss Class A, or I get a Class A, Class C versus a van, and we'll give our pros and cons. I mean, they both have pros and cons. Things I love about my van, things I don't like about my van, and the same about the Class C. And we'll just try and give you a balanced view from the two of us of what we think about them. You can see Carolyn's Class C behind us. I'll turn the camera real quick. You can see my van is right here. So there is my van. My van's right there. Oh, let me show you where we're at. We're in one of the most beautiful places anywhere. Look at this beautiful place we're at. I can't tell you where. I'm sworn to secrecy. It's life and death. If I ever tell you where I'm at,
it's true.
It's life and death. Death or dismemberment or waiting, whichever is more painful. If I ever disclose this location. And so there's the van, and we're sitting here. Here's Carolyn. No, I got that about right. It looks about right where it was. Okay, so we'll do announcements. You know, we have to do announcements. I think you're in good.
Mm-hmm.
I can go over a little more. Looks like, all right. Announcements. That's all the same every time. And I say every time I'm not going to take very long. I take forever. It's all HOWA. I don't have any announcements for me. Emergency fund. If you're in financial distress from the emergency fund, go to eFund at email if you need money from the emergency fund. And we're doing it just for the whole pandemic thing we're going through now. Go to eFund at Homes and Wheels Alliance. And if you want to donate, we're putting a lot of money out right now. So if you want to donate to the eFund, please do. And to do that, you go to HOWA.rallyup.com. Okay. The virtual caravans are going great. The virtual caravans, because we're not gathering, how do you meet people? And so you go to meetup.com/caravans/events, and you can join us on one of the caravans. We are awarding a slightly used donated batteries and solar kits. And excuse me, I got a frog, and I got a lav mic on, so there's no getting away from it. Let me go back. I forgot something. We've started teaching classes. In fact, Carolyn taught our first class last Saturday on boondocking. Really, really good class. In fact, that I've said often that I think I'm really, really good at finding boondocking spots, but Carolyn's better. And she's a great teacher, and that's a great class. You have that on your website?
I do.
So you can go see the class on her website.
Well, it's on HOWA. The one I did on Saturday is HOWA. I have one that I did at the RTR, which is an extended version on my website.
Right. So a 45-minute version is on homesandwheelsalliance.org, and you can go to Carolyn's site for a longer version, more in depth, at carolyn'srvlife.com. Is that right?
Carolyn'sRVLife.tv to go directly to my YouTube channel.
Oh,
Yeah.
how about that? That was smart.
Yeah.
Okay, but you always have been very, very smart. So next Saturday we're planning on doing weekly classes, and we do them live, so you can ask questions. You'll ask your questions on the chat through Zoom, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. We can only get through so many because there are we limit it to 100 people in the Zoom meeting. It's a webinar. It's what Zoom calls a webinar. And so you have to go and sign up, and we'll have a waiting list going because more will sign up than can make it. And where do you sign up for the classes?
Meetup.
Same thing?
Yeah. Right, Sue-Ann? It's Meetup.
Correct, yes.
Meetup.com/caravans events. Is that correct?
Yes.
Meetup.com/caravans/events. Also have, we're giving away 2 complete solar kits, and also 2 12-volt batteries. We've ended up with excess we haven't given away, so we're going to take. You can apply to get them, and they have to come to Pahrump to get them. You got to go to Pahrump, Nevada by May 31st to pick these all up, and that you go to get that at homesonwheelsalliance.org/12V 12V. homesonwheelsalliance.org/12V. We have a sweepstakes going for a really nice We Roll trailer, and also 2 electric bikes, folding electric bikes. The We Roll trailer is fantastic, and there is no purchase necessary. This is a sweepstakes. It is not a raffle. With a raffle, you have to make a purchase, and some states the raffles are illegal. And so this is a sweepstakes. No purchase is necessary. You can get a ticket and send it in and not pay a penny. But if you want to buy more tickets and have more of a chance, then you do have to buy your more tickets. And you get the tickets and watch the sweepstakes, which will be a week from today. We're going to do a live feed a week from today, yet in Pahrump. And you go to howa.rallyup.com, and then you can buy your sweepstakes. Today's the last day. Oh, tomorrow is the last day. Sorry, tomorrow is the last day to enter the sweepstakes, either free or by buying more tickets. And what am I leaving out? I'm leaving something out.
No, that's good.
Okay, I think we're done. How fast was that? 10 minutes. I can't do it less than 10 minutes. I talk too much. Did you ever notice that? I talk too much? Never? She's very nice, isn't she? Okay, today we're talking about Carolyn and I are talking about the choice between an RV and a van. And specifically because I'm in a van, we're going to talk about vans. Because you're in a Class C, we're going to talk about a Class C. But I think we can expand these things to say Class A's or all RVs versus all cars, vans, and like SUVs. You could you could substitute SUV in this. Oh, I shouldn't have shut that.
Let me introduce myself.
Right. It messed up here.
And is Sue-Ann, is Sadie in the background really distracting?
People can hear her, but I hear you guys just fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So Carolyn, this is your first your time on my live, and I think most of my viewers know who you are. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Hi everyone, my name is Carolyn, and my channel is Carolyn's RV Life. And 4 years ago, April 1st, I decided to, I decided before that, but I made it official and the rat race of the San Francisco Bay Area and moved into a Class C RV. And I had a marketing consulting practice back then, and I just took it remote. As long as I had an internet signal, I could work, and bought what I could afford, which was a lemon. But my sole purpose, my goal was to live closer to nature. I wanted to live on public lands, be in national forests. You know, travel was kind of secondary. I really just wanted to live out in nature and be able to walk my dog without seeing people. And so the first couple of years I spent in a lot of solitude and exploring a lot of different areas of the country and a lot of national forests. And now I'm just kind of settling in and kind of just enjoying really just this being life, and made some friends, and I'm enjoying more camping with friends and things like that now. So yeah, I guess that's a nutshell of my experience. And this is Sadie. She's brand new.
Okay, so what I thought we would do, we're going to take your questions mostly, but I thought we'd just start out with Carolyn. So about 4 years ago, you had to choose and go. You're going to go full time, and you chose a Class C. Why did you choose a Class C? And here it is, 4.5 years later. What do you think? Was that a good choice?
I don't know that living in a van. Well, actually, I was following a young lady living in a van. So I learned about this lifestyle on YouTube, like a lot of you do. Only back then there were not that many people. There was like Van Girl and Nomadic Fanatic and Pippi Peterson. And those were the three I watched. And I guess for going from an apartment, I really wanted a lot of the comforts at home. I wanted a stove, I wanted a refrigerator, I wanted a bathroom. Shower's not really that important to me. I can sponge bathe just fine, sponge bathe just fine. But I really wanted all the comforts of home. And I'll talk more about this probably later, but one of the reasons I really wanted the space and the like an RV versus a van is because I spend so much time inside because I'm still working. And that means, you know, if I'm working 10, 12, 14 hours a day and a van just didn't seem like it would make me happy. I would feel claustrophobic being in a van, you know. So I like the windows, I like the class, I like the room, I like being able to get up and walk around, I like the amenities. But I also wanted something small enough to be able to go wherever I wanted to go. So I've always been torn. There's a part of me that would love, I wish I was a van person, but I'm not. And getting something small enough to be able to go as many remote places as possible was extremely important to me. So I went with a 29-foot Class C the first time. I downsized a year and a half later to a 24-foot, and I love the 24-foot. I'm even cleaning out now. I even have more storage than I need now. If I didn't have a dog, I might be able to go smaller. But the reason I went with a Class C instead of a Class A or a trailer, I don't like something that you can pull, for the sheer fact that I'm a woman alone, and having a pod that's disconnected from a vehicle that I would be trapped in should something happen. And, you know, not much has happened. I've had a few kind of scary-ish situations where I've had to leave, but nothing like life-threatening. But the idea of being stuck in a pod in the middle of a remote forest and being surrounded by crazies and being stuck is just something that sticks in my mind. So I like that I can go from cab to living space and vice versa, you know, without having to exit the vehicle. And that was one of my main reasons for not going with a pull trailer. And then I chose a Class C over a Class A because it looks more like a van. I did a little bit of reading, and it seemed like they were easier to work on because it's just a Ford E450 V10 chassis. It's easier to get to things. And so I thought maintenance and repairs would be easier. And I thought it would be easier. It's built on a van chassis, so I thought it would be sturdier. And I think maybe the reading that I did than a Class A, because it's actually a cargo van chassis. And that just seemed more durable to me for the roads that I want to travel on. So in a nutshell, that's my reasoning.
Very, very good. I've been doing it longer, of course, so I have a longer history. My first vehicle, I was forced into it because of the divorce, and I had to keep working. I worked at a job for 6 years after I bought my first van and moved into it. I worked in a town, so I had to have a vehicle that had some stealth. I was going to live in town for the long time, and so I had to have stealth. That was a major part of my initial decision. I was absolutely broke. I had $1,500 in my total, and I found my old beat up box fan for $1,500, and I gave him the last penny I had in the world. Everything else was going to the lawyers, and to the ex-wife and my kids, and so there was just no choice. I was going to get into a van, so I was into a box van, and of course, as I told this story many times, initially I hated living in a van. I felt like a failure and a loser, but I soon fell in love with it, and very, very deeply in love with it, and have never regretted it, and now plan to do it forever. And I would say you'd say the exact same thing, wouldn't you?
I can't. There are days I've had a rough last couple of days. You can see I'm kind of bruised up, and I got rock stuck in my dually. Long story, but 2 in a row, and and I have not been feeling like 100% myself, and so I've had some moments the last couple of days where I'm like, screw this. I just I'm gonna buy a piece of land, and then I'm like, and then what? I'd be bored in 3 days. So definitely going back to my old life and to a traditional sticks and bricks life, absolutely out of the question. I can't even imagine it. It would be prison. It would be death. I think if I ever do anything other than RV life, it would be like homesteading or something like that. But yeah, I'm ready to get. I'm not. I don't want to say I'm not ready to give up yet, because that sounds like I'm thinking about it seriously. But I
Has its ups and downs.
it has its ups and downs for sure. So every day is not rosy, every day is not easy, and it seems that when stuff goes wrong, it goes wrong in clumps, and it can really wear you down. But for the most part, I love my life. I've just this yeah.
So the one thing we'd both tell you is we love it and wouldn't go back.
Mm-mm.
There are days when it has its downsides and problems,
Just like life.
but that's the way life always works. Wherever you are, those are you will have those days. And I would say I have many. You probably would say you had less of those days now than you did before.
I'm where I want to be now.
Right.
I think in a lot of ways, physically, emotionally, psychologically. I mean, so there's just yeah. I don't have to sit in a cubicle and look out the window and wish I was somewhere else. I don't do actually, yeah, I don't do that at all anymore. I never wish I was somewhere else, because if I do, I just get up and go.
Right.
So
yeah. So I lived in that box van for 6 years, and that was a big thing. It was cheaper. You can get into a van a whole lot cheaper than you can an RV. That was a major part of my decision. You can be in towns much easier in a van than an RV, and then from a van I moved into a 4-wheel drive pickup, because I was in Alaska this whole time, and it's also insulate. It was very easy for me to insulate my box van and be able to live in it in Anchorage, Alaska, when it was 30 below. I could insulate it warm enough and heat it and be able to not only survive but thrive through an Alaskan winter. For 1 year, I lived in a travel trailer in Anchorage, Alaska. The most miserable experience of my life. I couldn't add extra insulation. I tried really hard. It was the most miserable experience of my whole life. I would never, ever do that again. So that was a big part of it. You can adapt to the weather, I think, better in a van, because you can add on extra insulation. And then once I was done working and I retired, I moved into a 4-wheel drive pickup. And so I lived in a 4-wheel drive pickup for 3 years. It was much smaller it was a box van, 12-foot by 8-foot box. From that to a pickup, it had a 7-foot bed and a super cab, and that was all the room I had. To this day, I regret moving out of that box in that 4-wheel drive pickup. In fact, I am planning now and actively engaged in mental process of getting myself back into a 4-wheel drive pickup. So as much as I love living in a van, I really want 4-wheel drive. And so from there, I did tow a cargo trailer for about 5 or 6 years. I towed a cargo trailer that I converted, much more comfortable, but it was such a pain in the butt. I put it in storage every summer. I wasn't going to drag that thing around. It went in storage every summer. And in the winter, I accumulated too much stuff. It was over full. I set up this huge, elaborate outside camp, and then I hated breaking camp. I hated traveling anywhere. So I found myself stuck in one place with the cargo trailer. I got rid of it. Now it's just the van. And my next step will definitely be either a Toyota Tacoma, which I don't think I can ever fit it inside a Toyota Tacoma. It'll probably be a Chevy 1-ton truck with a camper shell, not even a camper shell.
Mm.
So in all of that, I've never ever wished I was in an RV because I love the simplicity of what I'm doing. All of it comes down to this. We'll have a little bit of a philosophical discussion. I should have warned you this was coming. It just popped in my little pea brain. To me, it always comes down to this, and I've said this many, many times on videos: freedom versus comfort.
Yep.
And so I've got more freedom.
Yep.
I can go many more places than you can. It costs me probably half as much to operate it, so I can drive more on the same amount of money. So I've got a great deal more freedom, but no comparison in comfort.
Right.
So for each person, it always comes down to this: comfort versus freedom, and where you fall on that scale. No right or wrong answer, right? There can't be a right or wrong answer.
That's a good point.
It's always comfort versus freedom. And I think I'm ready now to give up more comfort to get more freedom. In fact, my ideal is a 4-door Jeep. If I could, I'd live in a 4-door Jeep. And that's the ultimate in freedom. Or my friend Sue Ann, who lives in a Prius, because she gets 50 miles to the gallon. And she can jump in that thing and drive across the country for a tenth of the price that I'm paying in gas. So that's more freedom than I have, except I can go a whole lot more places than she can go, and I have more comfort than she has. So it's all a trade-off. There's no right or wrong. One of my best friends is right now switching from a van to a mini car. And, you know, she's decided that she doesn't need the comfort of the van. She's going for the freedom of a car. She'll get 37 miles to the gallon. So your thoughts on that?
I think that's absolutely on point. I think that that's a decision, a heart to heart, come to Jesus moment that everybody who is thinking about this lifestyle needs to think about. I think you told me this when I first started. Nobody ever stays in the vehicle they started out in. You either upsize or you downsize or you change vehicles altogether. And it's interesting because most of the nomads that I know, I haven't met one person. Well, yeah, maybe I've met a couple of viewers who have upsized, but mostly people downsize. And that's definitely it for me. I had to weigh that freedom versus how comfortable I want to be, and that's something that everybody has to determine for themselves. I will say though that I'm not as limited in my RV as I thought I would be. Yeah, I've got some damage to my rig trying to go, yeah, trying to go.
I've been there, seen that.
You have trying to go places that that RVs don't normally go, and that's okay. I'm okay with that, But so I think when I first started out, I thought that there would be I thought that my boondocking spots, my beautiful, amazing boondocking spots with solitude, I thought would be a lot harder to find than they are. This spot right here, for example, one of my favorite spots. I come here every year. There's never anybody up here, and it's not an easy road to come up, but an RV like mine can get up here. I actually even think I first found it with Matilda, so even with my 29-foot RV. And I will say, as far as the comfort thing, I think if I were retired, if I wasn't working, if I could just travel and hike and sit outside in the sun and read a book and, cook my meals outside because I had the time, because I wasn't working so much, I definitely think something smaller, maybe a van, would be more realistic. And that's another thing to consider is are you going to be working? Are you going to be working remotely? How much time realistically are you going to be spending inside? And again, because I'm spending so much time inside, I don't want to feel like I'm cooped up in a van with all the windows around me. I still get the feeling that I'm living RV life, even though I'm stuck inside. So comfort, the comfort is really important to me. The amenities, because I eat mostly whole foods and mostly plant-based diet, I really like having a refrigerator and a freezer. I really like being able to cook on a stove and the oven in the winter. So those things right now are still pretty important to me. And that's all part of what makes me comfortable in life, having some of the comforts of life.
Yeah, there is never a wrong answer. I need this much comfort. There's never a wrong answer to that. It's your answer. And no one can possibly judge you and say yes or no to that. And one of the things over the years I've emphasized how much I want a van so I can go more places, but I want to really back up what Carolyn said. People will write me and say, well, Bob, should I even bother with an RV? Can I go anywhere in an RV? And what Carolyn said is we've been together. We've camped quite a bit together over the last 4 years or so. And remember the one camp we went to and we spent a couple hours filling in a gully so you could get through it. The van went right, but we had to fill it. We got rocks. We filled it in with rocks and we got through it.
Because I was dragging on the bottom, right?
And you still did damage.
And that's right. That was the first damage to this RV. It was out by Blythe and Taglios. We went up there and he always lets me lead. He's always like, do you think you can make that? And I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. And it's true. I might be a little braver with Bob with me because I know that I have somebody to pull me out. And the longer I'm on the road, I realize the more I'm like, yeah, I don't think I need to push it. I think I'm fine right here. I've been stuck 6, 7, 8 times. I've done damage. I've been there, done that. It's although I did just ruin my step by running over a rock, but so I'm not completely healed of all that.
So it is surprising. And now you're in the 24-foot Class C. And so that's even better than the 29.
Yeah, way better.
Way better. And so the smaller the RV, the less restricted you are. Yep. So I don't want to overemphasize that too much. Carolyn's absolutely right. You can go plenty of places to love boondocking in an RV. Yeah. And I want to make sure I say that and I mislead people sometimes. I want to go pretty far where even a full drive van can't take me.
Yeah.
So that's just a different story.
Yeah.
But there's another thing I want to emphasize here, and that is in the favor of the RV. If you're thinking about an RV, yes, you can boondock, you can find gorgeous places, and you can be alone. Absolutely. But one of the things that I think you really have to consider is the overall cost of operating an RV versus operating a van. So what I suggest to people is if you're in a van or a car, SUV, you need a minimum of a $3,000 emergency fund. But don't come out here unless you have that. Unless if it's that or live under the bridge in a cardboard box, then yes, come out here. That's a better choice than a cardboard box. But if at all possible, why? Because $3,000 will buy you a pretty nice brand new minivan. Not brand new. It'll be in early 2000s. It'll have 100,000 miles on it, but it'll be a good running minivan. You can just throw the van out, walk away, and start over with a whole new van. But when people ask me about RVs, I say to double that. Don't buy an RV without double that because the operating costs of an RV are so much higher. So yep. Now I've never owned an RV, so maybe I'm wrong. So what are your thoughts on an emergency fund and the operating costs of an RV?
You're absolutely right. And I recommend always $5,000. And that's because in my first year in my Lemon, anybody who's watched me, I named her Matilda. She was a Lemon. She was oh man, I still have PTSD thinking about everything I went through with that stupid rig. But within a couple months of owning it, the transmission blew out. So just to give you kind of a what could happen scenario, transmission, and it was old and rusted. So I had the transmission work done. I had some other things done while it was in there that needed to be done. That was $3,000. Let's say this didn't happen to me in that situation, but later on, let's say the next day your refrigerator goes, that's another $1,000. Then let's say you need tires or brakes. I can't get front or back brakes done for under $800. So what's it cost on yours to get brakes done? A couple hundred?
Yeah, $300-$400 probably.
It's never costed me under $800 to get my front or my rear brakes done. So you've got, in a van, you have only your mechanical, the running of the van, the vehicle maintenance. In an RV, you've got house and vehicle maintenance, and especially when you're living like I do and taking the RV places that maybe it wasn't quite meant to go. My refrigerator in this RV coming back from Alaska, I literally rattled it to death by driving the Dalton Highway up to the Arctic Ocean. When it broke and I got it taken out, they showed me the cooling system literally got shaken off of the refrigerator and bent in half. And that's from all the shaking of driving on that road. So it depends too. I mean, if you're one of those people who's super diligent about maintenance and you're just going to be driving it on the highway, RV park to RV park, your maintenance costs might not be quite as much as mine. Although, you know, stuff happens. These things, you say it all the time. These things are built like crap.
They are.
Although I will say my Winnebago is way better than my Jamboree. My first one was a Jamboree, but this is an Itasca Spirit made by Winnebago. And this thing is way better than my first one. And it's 2005, because I know some of you might be wondering. And, but yeah, so you're driving your house on very rough, remote places if in fact you do want to live like me. And so, yeah, stuff breaks. Stuff breaks. I don't worry about body damage. I don't care about aesthetics. I'm not out here to look pretty. You know, I don't really care. That stuff is the vanity and the ego is what I left behind in my old life. So it really is just about making sure everything runs well. And it's kind of hard living on the RV. So $5,000 at a minimum is what I would recommend. And you have to always be prepared. Stuff breaks and it never seems, at least in my case and some other people, it never seems to be just one thing. It never seems to be just one thing. So you can't say, yeah, okay, well, I've got a $3,000 emergency budget. So the most would ever cost me to replace one thing is $3,000. So I'm safe. You just never know when three things are going to go out at once.
Right. Yeah. So you really have to factor that in. The operating cost of an RV is very much higher, and you need a bigger emergency fund, and you just got to be ready psychologically for what's going to happen. Okay.
I think you've seen me. I think he's witnessed some of my breakdown, like not mechanical breakdowns, but breakdowns.
Both. You can tell stories. There are stories we're going to tell, I think. Some I'd really love to tell, but I better not. Okay. So we're going to answer some questions. Anything else we should cover before we go on?
That was it for pros and cons, right? Did we do pros and cons?
Well, let's do that.
Okay.
That's good. That's a good point. I'll go because pros and cons. Well, I don't have the comfort.
Just say I'll go because it's my channel. Damn it.
Yeah, that's good enough. Of course, I don't have the comfort that an RV has. Although, you know what? I don't miss it. I don't think there's nothing in the RV that I miss. I would honestly say that. Hot water. Having running hot water is something I do miss. I would never use the shower. I would never use the toilet. There's almost nothing in an RV that I miss. And the ability and the plus of being able to go so much more places, so much cheaper. To me, it's not even a debate. I mean, there's not even a question in my mind. There are no pros that I'm missing out on. Cons, of course, I don't have as much comfort. I don't have as much room. Pros, I got stealth. I can go more places. Just to me, it's all lopsided. No, there are no cons. Well, there are a lot of cons. There are cons living in a van, but there's none that I would gain back by living in an RV. So what are your pros and cons?
So I think first my pros would be space. And I saw a question earlier. Somebody wanted to know if Nomads have a storage unit somewhere. I don't. I didn't want anything holding me down. So everything I own, literally everything I own, is in this RV. And so that was important to me. I didn't want to have storage. And I do have a couple boxes of things that, although I just cleaned out like yearbooks and wedding pictures and threw them all away. I don't need them anymore. But there's still, that's something for you to consider. Number one, do you want to have a storage space? And if you don't want to have a storage space, do you need room to be able to carry? I think most people have sentimental stuff they want to keep that they don't want to throw away. I know some people get rid of everything, but some people don't. So that's a consideration. Space, the pros, the stove, the oven, the refrigerator, the freezer. I can go out and buy supplies. I can buy groceries. I can buy produce. I can buy everything I need and come out here for 2 weeks with my refrigerator and my freezer and not have to move. So the holding tanks, that's another thing. I've got 42-gallon fresh water tank. And I've got, I don't know, more than that combined gray water. I think 30 and 20 or 25, something like that, or 40. But my gray water, I always run out of water before I need to dump my tanks. So with my what did I just say? 42 gallons of fresh water again, and this is conserving, really conserving, no showers and no extra water, but I can go 2 weeks on 42 gallons of water. And so that's a con for me, that I can just go out for 2 weeks. I'm sorry, that's a pro, that I can go out and sit for 2 weeks. The other pro is that I do have an air conditioner, although it doesn't work, but it works, but my onboard generator doesn't work. So if you have a Class C with a working onboard generator, you can run your air conditioning while you're boondocking. But because my generator doesn't work, I can't. But I also have heat. I have a furnace. I have heat that all runs on my solar. I never have to plug in unless it gets into the teens at night. Then I have to go to an RV park and plug in so that I can turn on my tank heaters. And let me see, pros. I like to be able to cook. Big, huge one. And I talk about this a lot because there's big misconception that leaving my dog in my RV on a hot day is the same as leaving it in a van. It was about 95 degrees outside the other day. And what was I doing? Oh, laundry. And I was taking Sadie with me in and out. And at one point, she just got a little too excited, and I put her in the RV, and somebody gave me a dirty look. And I had all the windows down, and I had my fantastic fans on, and it was 82 degrees in my rig, even though it was like 95 degrees outside. So an RV, because it's all fiberglass, it's not all metal. If you have pets and you think like in hot weather, you might need to leave them in there just to go grocery shopping, an RV, something that's built out of fiberglass, is going to be a much better option for you with pets. So that's another pro. And again, just having the space. I like having the space, being able to look out the windows when I work. The cons, like Bob said, they usually cost more to get into, and then they cost more to maintain. And stealth, I have, let me see, how do I say this? I've been able to stealth camp. I'm pretty good at going in San Francisco Bay Area and finding places to stealth camp. I mean, of course, you can see me. I'm not very stealthy, but unlike a van, you can park a van just about anywhere and nobody's going to bother you. Although the solar on the roof is kind of a dead giveaway. So I don't know that vans these days are as stealthy as you think they are. I know. Cops probably know. Neighbors who don't like this sort of thing in their neighborhood are probably, the high top and the solar panels are dead giveaways. So how stealthy really is that? In San Francisco, I notice when I see these, and so even in a Class C RV, I am able to find places to camp overnight when I'm in more metropolitan areas. So while stealth is a con, I've been able to get by. And another con, it's a lot to maintain, and it does some, not with this rig. This rig's been really good, but with the first rig, it was like I'd get one thing fixed and something else would break. I'd get that fixed and something else would break, and I'd get that fixed, and there's just a lot more systems to maintain and manage, and so it's more work. I think that's probably the biggest con, is it's more work and more money.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
15 minutes left, and Casey has 5 cards of questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if this question will be on it, but it just occurred to me, and I think we should answer it. If you're going to buy an RV, and I think we both kind of agree, most of them are not made very well. They're really poorly made. Which kind in your experience, has been well made? Is there some you would recommend?
I know you recommend Lazy Days.
Yes.
So I'll say that. I don't know anything about them. And I've only had 2 RVs, like I said. And you also told me one of the reasons I went with a Winnebago when I was shopping was because Bob had told me Winnebago and Lazy Days. I also learned a lot from Bob when I was starting out. So, and I still learn a lot from Bob. So Winnebago for sure. And can I say one more thing about that? When you're shopping for an RV, don't fall into the same trap that I fell into. I bought a 93 with low mileage. Bad. It had like 3 owners. They drove it once a year up to the lake. So RVs, cars need to be driven so that everything stays oiled, everything stays greased, everything keeps moving. If you buy something super old and it hasn't been driven in years, things seize up, things rust, things break, things crack. That's not a good thing. So getting an older vehicle with lower mileage, it might be dirt cheap, but that may not be a plan to probably put a lot of money into it.
Right. So I'll just throw out mine. I do recommend Winnebago. I think Winnebago is the sweet spot. It's not super expensive, but it's pretty darn well made. And you would testify to that.
This RV is a palace compared to my Jamboree.
Right.
I mean, it's 10 years newer, but you can just tell inside how much better it's built. You can feel it. It's got a good acoustics to it. It's insulated very well. I don't know how many of you saw my blanket video. I had to hang blankets on the windows for all the drafts in Matilda. I don't have to do that in this RV. And for the most part, and the Ford E450 is better. I had a 350 before, and I've had fewer problems with that. So overall, definitely yes.
Yeah. So that's what I recommend. Winnebago brand names. Lazy Days is superior to all others, and also Born Free. Born Free is not still in business, to the best of my knowledge, but Born Free is a superior class, I think are all Class Cs. I don't know that, but Born Free is superior because they will all cost a little more because they are a little better. Lazy Days and Born Free will usually cost quite a bit more because they have such an outstanding reputation. So those are what I recommend for RVs if you're out looking for an RV.
You get what you pay for.
You do.
I firmly believe you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, we better answer some questions.
Okay.
Carolyn's Dorothy North says Carolyn's videos had me convinced to get a Class C on account of my space needs because I have 4 cats. And that's something I'm hearing a lot. People with lots of cats, even 4 dogs, 4 cats.
Well, keep reading.
And 2 dogs.
I read it earlier.
But then I saw a few of Bob's videos on the subject and thought, 4 cats, 2 dogs. Probably would be much easier to drive a van, which it is. Can 4 cats and 2 dogs live in a van with me? I'm thinking to make shells for the cats. Size of the dogs is all important.
That's a good point.
2 small dogs, you might be okay.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
2 big dogs, 4 cats? No.
No way.
No, I'm sorry. I wish I could say yeah, but 2 big dogs, 4 cats.
No.
No.
No. A 19, 20, 24-foot RV would be a much better. Yeah, no. You'll be eating hair for breakfast, for one thing. Hairballs.
Oh, yeah. I had my last dog was Homer, and he was a big dog. And I never regretted having 1 big dog, but I thought about what if I had 2 great big dogs? And no, it would be very, very difficult. And 4 cats? Yeah, the honest answer is it'll be very hard. Penelope, which vehicle is cheaper to live and travel in, an RV or a van? Obviously, I think a van. I believe that within the next years or so, there will be quite a few people without extra money who will have to hit the road because of the economy. Thank you both. Well, my answer is that a minivan is going to be about the cheapest thing that you can be. The best balance of comfort and freedom and cost, minivan wins, to my mind, and a van would be a second. And your thoughts?
Same thing. Yeah. We're talking about cost.
Just you're broke, and this is what you got to do.
We covered that. Yeah, definitely. You're broke. Get a van.
Yeah, there's just another way to look at it. And I hear from people all the time. They've found a $1,500 RV. They found a $3,000 RV. What's your advice to them?
I bought an $8,000 RV and dumped $15,000 into it.
Yeah.
Yep, in a year and a half, or was it 10? I don't remember now. $10,000 to $15,000 in a year and a half. So.
And then you walked away.
And then I walked away.
Gave it away. Well, didn't give it away. Well, maybe.
The trade-in was
800, I think.
Was it 800?
That's the way I remember.
800. I had just put like $3,000 into it with brakes and tires, and they would only give me 800 for the trade-in. Had a brand new transmission. Yeah, don't run for the hills.
Don't buy cheap RVs.
Oh my God.
When I say that, and I have a friend who bought a $3,000 RV and has lived in it for the last 10 years, and it's been trouble-free.
Okay, so if you are looking at a cheap RV, there are mobile RV inspection companies. I think you can find them on Craigslist and some of the RV traders. First take it to a mechanic to make sure it's mechanically good, but you also need to get it checked by an RV person. Look for leaks, look to see, you know, that all the systems are running correctly. I mean, if you have the deal of a lifetime and you really think it was taken care of, that's the key. If you know the owner, if you know who of the owner, and you know that it was taken care of, that's a totally different story. But still, if it sounds too good to be true, but you're still tempted, just do everything you can to get it inspected before you take a leap. Otherwise, you're going to end up if you're broke, you're going to end up stranded somewhere on the side of the road. You're going to end up homeless.
You can't buy a decent full-size van for $3,000. You're going to have lots of problems if you do. You can buy a really nice $3,000 minivan. I know it. We do it for Homes on Wheels Alliance all the time. You can take it to a mechanic. He'll have it checked out, and he'll say, "This is in great shape. You'll be happy with this." And that is by far the best bang for your buck. You're not getting the comfort, not even a full-size van. But man, if that's all you've got, don't throw away what little money you have.
Yep.
Jelts on the Road says, can either of you explain the difference between the different RV classes? Where do fifth wheels fall? Carolyn, have you ever thought of downsizing to a van? We know why Bob wouldn't want to live in an RV. What are your reasons to not want a van? I think we kind of covered that, but I have a video explaining the different classes of RV, and you must also.
So do I. I've got a whole playlist called If You're Thinking About RV Life, Start Here, and it goes through all the different Class A, Class B, schoolies, buses, everything. So it's a playlist. If you're thinking about RV life, start there. And I think I've pretty much already answered this question, but if you want to go deeper, then go ahead and check out the playlist on my channel and check out some of Bob's videos.
We'd have to show you a picture of all the different types. I mean, just trying to explain it to you is a waste of time. So really, we've got to both have videos on it. Go check them out. And you answered already what are your reasons to not want to live in a van?
Yeah, I covered that.
You covered that pretty well. Kathy Stevens, I have multiple animals. I have to have a Class C just for additional room. Yeah, we kind of covered that too. You have a lot of animals. You might have to have a bigger rig. Roy Lemur, it sure is nice to have a shower and toilet and most of the comforts of home. I don't miss them at all. If I had I go home to my mom's every summer. I have never taken a shower in her shower. I've never once. Now I do use her toilet. I do use her running hot water, but I've never used her shower. I don't miss a shower at all. The comfort of a shower is amazing, but I can live without the comfort.
I have a shower. I never use it, but I do. That's another reason I couldn't live in a van. I'm not a fan. I like my toilet. I'll just put it that way. I like my toilet, and I use it regularly.
Okay, so he says, it sure is nice to have a shower and toilet and most of the comforts of home, but a white van with some ladders on the roof can park virtually anywhere and is unlikely to be hassled. I would say it depends on your intended usage. Yeah, Roy, we agree 100%. It's comfort versus freedom, whichever one's important to you. Susan Connor, I currently have a Sprinter van, great van, but I'm wondering now what we are in this crisis if having a Class C might be the better way to go. Would like your thoughts as to which might be the better option for the uncertain future. You have any thoughts on that?
I do. So I've thought a lot about this. I've actually joked on my channel that I might become a prepper. You know, I actually think that if crap hits the fan and things get crazy bad, I actually think the more remote you can go, the stealthier you can go, the less you can live with, the better. So if you're thinking about that, if you're thinking in prepper terms, apocalypse or whatever, I actually think the simplest, sorry about my puppy. I think the simplest way, I mean, even if it's a backpack and a tent, but I think the simplest way you can live in case of an emergency, think about that. What if gas starts getting rationed? What if water starts getting rationed? These are all the things that I have been thinking about lately, and I wouldn't be able to maintain all my systems. What would I do about propane? So I think you're better off in a Sprinter van or any van or a car should stuff hit the fan.
Yeah, I think I agree too. For one thing, Sprinter's getting just always 22 miles to the gallon.
Yes.
Nothing beats a Sprinter for miles per gallon. 22 miles to the gallon versus 8 for an RV, or 12 to 15 for a van.
Yeah.
To my mind, that's a compelling reason. With an uncertain future, that's a compelling reason. Being able to go into more remote places,
Yep.
that's a compelling reason.
To hide.
The extra room that you get in a Sprinter over a van, even my standard Chevy van, you have a lot more room in a Sprinter than I do. Of course, the really long ones get a lot of room, but even with the square sides, you just have more room. No, I think if your prepping is in your mind, I don't know that you can beat a Sprinter or a Transit or a Ram ProMaster. I think that'd be one of my very first choices. Yep. Sounds like we're pretty much in agreement on that. Guy Martin, my guess is the extra room worth the extra fuel usage? It might be. And for you, it is. The answer is simply yes.
I can afford it too. I still work. I still make money. I'm not living on a fixed income. I'm young enough and I'm resourceful enough to know that no matter what happens, I can pay for it. So I think that's an important consideration, knowing, I always thought that if my current career fails, I can always bartend or wait tables. I've done that before. So I've got backups to my backups. So your budget is a big consideration, I think, on that one. And your earning potential.
Something to consider here too is how easily you can tow an economy car with an RV. And you never have, and you probably never will. But you could tow a Jeep very easily. You could tow a Jeep or a Prius with your van, with a rig, no problem. I could too, but it would be a problem. And so maybe that's the best of all possible worlds. I bet your gas mileage wouldn't go down hardly at all.
That's what I've heard, that it really doesn't.
No, and so you could have the Prius to get your 50 miles to the gallon, or you could have your Jeep or your Samurai. Those are the big popular things.
I'm going to have to go take care of that.
Okay.
Her.
So you can, so actually that's something really to give some thought to getting your Class C and tow either an economy car if you might want to travel more, tow a Prius. You have to put it on a trailer, or a Suzuki Samurai, and then you get your total freedom in the backcountry. So it's not, in that sense, a Class C might give you a really, really good balance that you can do it with a van, but I think it makes more sense with an RV. My guess is the extra room worth the extra fuel usage. If comfort's most important to you, then yes, it is. If comfort's not important to you, then no, it's not. We each make that decision for ourselves. Maximalist Minibus.
Hi, Maximalist Minibus.
Oh, you know him? I love the name.
Her.
Oh, it's a girl. Why are the operating costs of an RV so much higher?
I think for all the reasons we've already talked about.
Repairs, you got more to maintain.
And it's a bigger, heavier vehicle. So I think that's part of the reason, like, my brake jobs cost more. It's a big, heavy duty vehicle. I buy heavy duty tires, and then you've got all the internal house. So you're maintaining a house and a vehicle. But yeah, I don't know. A lot of my viewers think that I get ripped off every time I pay $800 for a brake job, or I recently had a fuel pump replaced that cost $800 or $900. A lot of people think I get ripped off because I'm a woman. I shop around. I don't think I get ripped off, but I don't know if you know a mechanic, or if you're able to get better deals than I do, then it wouldn't cost you as much, but apparently I'm pretty gullible. I don't know.
Let me give you an example of what you're saying. Take a half-ton pickup, Ford, Chevy, whatever, and do a brake job and look at the parts on a half-ton pickup. And then do the same brake job on a Ford or Chevy, the same brand, and look at the parts that are in a 1-ton. The parts are massively bigger and heavier. It's a bigger, heavier, stouter, more expensive piece of gear. So, and now you're in a 450, which is even a step above that. And so, no, it's going to cost more to do any regular maintenance on a RV than in a van. And if you have a half-ton van, it'll be drastically more. So a 1-ton van, they should be about the same, but they'll be more expensive than I meant to say a 1-ton van should be about the same as an E350, either as a van or as an RV should be about the same. But and a lot of it is specialized. So there are a million E350s on the road, But an RV with its specialized chassis, there aren't a million of them, so they're going to cost more. All the way around.
That's a good point.
They're just more, and of course you get 8 miles to the gallon.
Yep.
You're getting 8 miles to the gallon. On my 2015 GMC Savannah, I have a computer, and it keeps track of every mile I've driven. They do them automatically. I didn't do this, and I have averaged 14.9 every mile the van's been driven, and I've hit 20. I have at times actually gotten 20 miles to the gallon. Everything was perfect, but I've averaged 15, and so no, it's just going to cost a lot more to operate. Bigger, heavier vehicle. Annie how many? 5. Annie Caravallo, I have a question for Carolyn. When she is taking them, do you travel north and south with the sun? And if yes, how far do you go and what are your costs?
What was the first?
Do you travel north and south with the sun? Heat and cold.
I do. Well, okay, sort of. That's kind of half true. I spend the winters in the south, in the southwest mostly. I might do southeast next year, but mostly because that's really the only place you can go to escape the cold. But when you're talking about escaping heat, and we talked about this on the webinar, it's more about elevation than it is north or south. You can have 100 degrees in Montana, but if you go to 7,000 feet, you're going to drop 21 degrees. For every 1,000 feet you climb, you lose 3 degrees. It's going to be 3 degrees cooler. So I really plan my summers on avoiding anything above 90 degrees, but I'm mostly looking at elevation. Where can I go in the mountains to get up? And that's, where I'm at right now. I had to escape the heat in the desert, and so I'm pretty high up. And yeah, what was the rest of the question? So that's about chasing the sun or the heat.
How far do you go? And what are your costs?
My costs are gas at 8, I'll let you do the math, at 8 miles to the gallon. And I go just as far as I want to go. I mean, I don't know. The nice thing about this lifestyle is I can say this summer I want to go to Montana, and I can take 2 months to get there if I want to, find a nice spot, stay there for 2 weeks. And when I went to Alaska, I got hit with taxes, and something else happened right as I was about to start my trip. So it depleted my bank account a little bit. So I took, 3 weeks to get to Alaska because I had to travel according to my budget. So that's always something that you can do. If you're out of money, you can just sit in one spot until your paycheck comes, and then you can move again. That's kind of how a lot of people do it.
Okay. Which is better on resale value? And I don't think I know the answer to this. Which is better on resale value, a converted van or a Class C in general? I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Well, you could probably get back, mostly you do some body damage, but if a normal person didn't do body damage, you could probably sell it for what you got into it, don't you think? Value would hold up?
I don't know.
How many more miles have you put on since then? 20,000?
About 50.
50,000 in a year and a half?
2.
2? Well, that would definitely drop the value.
Okay, 40,000. I'm at 97. I'm at about 90. So about 40,000. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
I will, so what I'm noticing from my viewers, I'm hearing, I paid $14,000 for this. It's a 2005 Class C. I paid $14,000 in New Mexico. And I'm hearing a lot of people say, how the heck did you do that? I'm not seeing anything that cheap. What I'm seeing is that this lifestyle is becoming more popular. So the price of everything is going up. So yeah, right now I might be able to get 14, 15,000, maybe even more out of this, because the supply is lower than the demand. And the same with converted vans. As this lifestyle becomes more popular, I think that they're gonna increase in value, which of course, vehicles don't usually do.
Right, a good full-size van is outrageously expensive. You could use one, and so yeah, I think a van is actually maybe holding its value or even gaining. If you do the build, you do a nice build, reasonably inexpensive, do it yourself. Yeah, you might could actually have it go up in value.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And not very long. I have a friend who's selling a van right now, and she's not getting all her money back, but I think she's getting most of her money back. And she had to put quite a bit of money more in the van than she thought she would have to.
Just don't do trade-in.
Is it easier to boondock in a van or Class C? Does a van ever feel like a home or feel just like camping?
Oh, that's a good question.
All right. So is it easier to boondock? We'll break it down into two. Is it easier to boondock in a van or a Class C?
We answered that.
Yeah. It's easier to go more places.
Oh,
I would say in a van, but
I
you'll
didn't
be
think
more comfortable once you get there.
I didn't think about it that way. But when we did talk about that, I didn't think about the boondocking. I was thinking about the getting there. But yeah, like I said, 42 gallon of water on board. Black tank, gray tank, never get full. I never have to worry about that. And I've got a refrigerator so I can keep all my food and everything for 2 weeks. So in that respect of boondocking, I think I don't know how a van person would. Can you stay 2 weeks in one spot without moving?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't use much water.
yeah.
So you
doesn't-
need all that water because
You just need Pepsi.
I just need Pepsi.
And you don't need vegetables, so.
No, never touch the things unless they're in a can.
Or the lettuce on your Big Mac.
Yeah. Now here's a question I'll answer. Does a van ever feel like home or feel just like camping?
I like that question.
It is a good question. My van feels like home. It almost seems pejorative, meaning negative. Well, it's just going camping. Yeah, it feels like I'm going camping. I mean, that's how I would respond.
Yeah.
I get to go, and when I was a campground host, I was a campground host for 4 years. And I'd have people tell me all the time how much they wish they could do what I was doing. You get to go camping all the time. That's what I love to do. So I don't think of it as a negative that it feels like going camping. To me, that feels like really good.
Yeah.
I go to my mom's. In about a month, I'll be at my mom's, and I'll spend most of the summer in and out of my mom's house. I despise the feeling of a home. I despise the feeling of living in a building.
Yeah.
And I guess that didn't happen overnight, although I think it kind of did. It doesn't feel like going camping to me. It feels like the best life I could possibly have, living in a van.
Can I say something about that real quick? I know I'll make it quick because I know that we're over, but it's interesting that this question came up, and I love it so much because I've recently been thinking you kind of articulated it in a way that I wasn't able to articulate, but I'm having regrets about my Class C for that very reason. I couldn't put my finger on it. I don't feel like I'm camping. I feel like I'm in a home, and it's not that much different than my sticks and bricks, except that it moves and I can go to different places and things like that. But I have so many of the amenities at home, and that's it exactly. That's what I'm missing. So that might be something worth thinking about. I'm missing the feeling of being camping.
Right.
And so I like that question. That's a really good thought-provoking question for a lot of people also to consider. Do you want to feel like you're at home out here, or do you want to feel like you're camping?
Do you want to take an apartment? And that might be another way to look at this whole question. You're still living in an apartment. It's just on wheels and you're taking it around with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I didn't want that. I do not want that.
Right. Right. And I'm kind of regretting having that, to be honest with you. I'm kind of regretting that I can't be more like, I want to live in a van. I want to live in a van. So yeah, but I lived in a camper van I traveled in a camper van in New Zealand for 8 or 9 days. And I was just like, yeah, I can't wait to get back to my RV. This is too small. So
one of the things I've said for a very long time is I come out here to connect to nature. And I know you came out here to connect to nature.
Yep.
And if you take an apartment around, a home or an apartment has the exact opposite purpose.
Yep.
The purpose of a home or apartment is to get you as far away from nature as you possibly can. Hard walls, hard windows, hard seals everywhere. Nature's out there.
yes.
I'm in here. And I hate that. Maybe that's why I hate living in a house so much. I want to be connected to nature. You know what? When it gets cold, I can feel the cold coming in my van. When the wind blows, well, you can too.
Yeah,
it blows hard enough.
Yeah.
My van shakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember when
yeah.
I lived in Anchorage in my box truck in the winter, almost every day I had ravens clickety-clacking around on my roof, and I don't know why. I painted it white, so maybe they liked the white. Maybe it was warmer. I don't know. I love the sound of ravens clickety-clacking on my roof. I love the sound of the rain beating on my roof.
And
You get that.
I get all that too.
You
And the
get that.
birds. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
the chipmunks on my screen.
I live in a van because I want to connect to nature. Look around us. Well, you can't see us right now. You just see our Class C. But I spun around earlier. We're in one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. This is what I want. And I don't want to be in a home that I put on wheels and drag around everywhere with me.
Yeah.
I hate to feel that.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll love it. And that's not a judgment. I hate it. You love it. Go for it. Okay.
That's a good place to end.
It is a good place to end. I
think it's a
thought that
great
was a good point.
yeah.
Yeah, we better stop. We're a little over now. All right. Well, Carolyn, thank you. No more. No, now we're hugging.
No,
No hugging.
virtual
hug.
social distancing hug. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was always fun.
Yeah, I think we offset each other really well, and in a very positive way too. We spent a lot of time together out here, and so I spent a lot of time in your rig, sitting in your rig with you and talking, because that's a good reason to have a Class C, because your friends want to go sit inside with you in your Class C. They don't want to come inside my van.
It's true. If you want to entertain.
If you're a social person, it's a huge advantage being in a Class C.
Or disadvantage, depends on
right.
Depending on how you look at it.
Oh, sure, I'd invite you in, but there's just no room. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So it's a plus and a minus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything is a plus and minus, a trade-off. You set your priorities and you make sure you get them.
Yep. And remember, you can always change your mind later.
Absolutely.
Nothing is permanent. Nothing except tattoos, and even those aren't permanent. But nothing's permanent.
Yep. Okay, folks. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Some different thoughts. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you on the next video.
Don't forget bubbles.
Oh, too late. I'll turn on the bubbles. Can I
Bubbles?
Bubbles are my thing.
How do you get bubbles?
You want to dance?
No.
We could kind of pretend to dance. No.
Is that a YouTube thing?
It is. Oh, this is a YouTube thing. See, I got bubbles going.
How the heck did I not see that on YouTube?
Yeah, they're there.
Bye,
There's always
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
I'll dance to the bubbles,
Okay.
even if the killjoy won't.
I can chair dance.
Okay, see y'all later.
Sadie girl.
My first live feed, I turned on bubbles accidentally, and they wanted it.
I want to learn how to do that.
It's a little button right there.
Look at that. I don't have all those.
Oh, you must.